welcome to Chronically Overdressed. I'm Christine the Glambassador. If you are new to my channel, I welcome you, and if you are returning, I thank you, and I'm so glad to have you back. If you watched my last RedBird Vintage Box unboxing, you will know that that was my last one, that I'm not going to be doing those unboxings any longer. Instead, I'm going to share with you all of the items that I find at estate sales, antique malls, flea markets, sometimes Etsy and eBay as well. I just feel like that's a better representation of me and things that I actually want in my house. I become kind of unhappy with some of the things that I was getting in the RedBird Vintage Box, even though I was really enjoying the surprise of it. So I just thought this would be a much better way of just kind of showing you all of the fun, unique things that I find at all of these places. So my husband and I love going to estate sales and flea markets and antique malls, and pretty much every weekend we try to fit one of those in at some point. And I really I love estate sales, and especially now that we're in the DC area, we're definitely going to a lot more of them. And I absolutely love antique malls. Growing up in California, we did not have antique malls. We had small, antique shops and thrift stores, and we had like the swap meets and stuff, but we didn't have an indoor antique mall. And so the first time I ever, saw one here on the East Coast, I was just enamored. So for those of you who don't know what an antique mall is, it's just a big open space, and vendors can rent smaller sections. So they rent a booth basically. And then they just fill it with whatever they want. And generally speaking, the vendors kind of take turns in kind of manning the front, the cashier. So each place is its own booth. It's its own owner, essentially. And so they, each booth sets its own prices and has, a different, sometimes they specialize in, say books, or sometimes they specialize in mid-century modern. So each little booth is completely different. So, you just walk up and down the aisles and go to each one of these booths. And so I really enjoy that because you get a lot of variety, depending on the place, the area that it's in. Sometimes they are a little bit more expensive, again, because, they have a booth rent that they have to pay for. But in this area in particular, in Maryland and Virginia, we have a lot of really great antique malls that I love going to. I also love to go to flea markets, and I've taken you guys along on a couple of those, and I'll continue to do that from time to time, just so you can kind of see, the places that we end up going to. So, but from here on out, I really just want to share with you some of my, my vintage and antique finds. I will do my best throughout this whole series to tell you where I've gotten the pieces. In preparation for starting this, I basically had to go around with a pen and paper and write down all the things that we've gotten that I haven't shared with you yet. So I do have a pretty good list, and I'm pretty sure I remember where I got everything, but I'm just really excited to share it all with you, and maybe you'll see something that you've never seen before. I definitely have a few items that I was incredibly excited to get, one of which I'm really excited to share with you today. So I'm just excited to share with you some of these items. All right, so the first thing is this absolutely adorable salt and pepper shaker set. There's also this little guy, and I think maybe he's like a little mustard container, or maybe jam or something. but they are, so they all come off and then they're all sitting on this little leaf, which is so cute. And it was made in occupied Japan. And it's I think porcelain. And underneath here it says made in Japan. I think you can see that. So yeah, these guys just kind of sit on their little leaf and I love them. Now, this is kind of a recent obsession for me lately with the salt and pepper shakers. My husband bought me a set. He was working in New Mexico and he bought me a set of really cute salt and pepper shakers when he went to a flea market, or I think he was an antique mall or something. And he brought them home and they were super cute. And I found a couple here and there, but now I'm starting to realize that I'm really starting to collect salt and pepper shakers lately. But they have to be, they have to catch my eye. They have to be something that is either super cute like this. I love owls. I have a couple more that I'm going to show you in videos to come. But yeah, I'm starting to realize that I'm starting to really collect salt and pepper shakers. And now I realize I need to get some sort of, display for them, because they're just kind of throughout the house really. And I'd love to have a little display to put them all out. So that's definitely on my list of things to start looking for when we're out shopping. Hopefully I can find one of those and then I can just display them all. So my second item is this darling porcelain arsenic jar. And I think it's from Limoges, France. You can see that. And this poor little guy, he does have a little story. So I actually bought this, it was at a flea market from a friend of mine. She owns Marchioness Vintage. And I met her at another flea market, at the Del Rey flea market, where I bought a parasol from her. We got to talking, we became friends. And she was selling at the Eastern flea market down in downtown DC. And she had this little guy. And she told me that she had recently sold the whole set, a whole like spice set to somebody, but they didn't want the arsenic bottle. So they just left him aside. Clearly it was, because he needed to come home with me. But I love apothecary jars, and anytime I can find weird ones, I guess I'm gonna find them and take them. So I am super excited about this guy, and he sits on my mantle, and I would love to find another match for him. So we'll keep an eye out for that. As it is October and getting close to Halloween, I thought this next one is very fitting. So you guys might have seen when we were living in Hawaii, I bought this toaster at I guess it was a vintage fair really. And it has the beautiful spiderweb motif on it. And fell in love with it, of course, and I had to buy it right away. So I had shown this on TikTok or Instagram, and a friend of mine had commented that she had the same one and she had the matching percolator. And of course, I had to run over to eBay and look for a matching spiderweb percolator. And wouldn't you know it, I found one. So this is my gorgeous percolator with the spiderweb motif that goes all the way around, and it has all of its parts. So it actually would work. There's the plug and everything inside there. we're probably not going to plug it in and try it, to be honest. The cord for the toaster is really, really frayed, and so I would be terrified to even plug that in. These are both from the 1930s. They're both General Electric, so I'm guessing that they actually, if they weren't a set, they definitely were made, you know, very close to each other. I find it hard to believe that GE would make two spiderweb motif, you know, items that didn't go together. So I was super excited to find that. And I'm always on the lookout for anything spiderweb. So I was really, really excited to find that. So these next three items do have something in common with each other. So once I'm done showing them to you, I'm gonna ask you to pause the video and write in the comments what you think they all have in common. All right, so this first one is a travel alarm clock. It came with the box and everything. And I believe this is, yeah, it was made in Germany, and I really love these. So it just opens up, and you can see it kind of swings out, and then it just sets right in there. So you have this beautiful little alarm clock, and it does work. And so you can just wind it up, set your alarm, and be ready for the day. And we have this beautiful, I think it's like a little nut jar, but you can put olives in it, I guess. And I just love this kind of sunburst pattern on the bottom. And it's just so beautiful. And I mean, it's not super thin. It's a good good thickness, but I really like this. And then we have another percolator, although this one does not have the parts with it. But I really love this enamel with the green and this kind of cream color. So you can see it's a little messed up in the inside, but we're definitely not going to use it to actually make coffee. But I just love the coloring on this with the green and the cream. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love these enamel pots. They're, I don't know, they're just so practical, and you know, they stand the test of time for the most part. You know, that as long as you keep them nice and clean and dry, they still work pretty well. So for those three items, what do you think they have in common? Go ahead and pause the video right now and write in the comments what you think they have in common. Here are all three items, and these will all fluoresce when a UV light or black light is shown on them. All three of these also do contain radioactive material, although that is not what makes it fluoresce. The percolator and the nut bowl are both contain uranium, and the clock contains radium. So did you guess right? So this is actually something that my husband and I collect. My husband works in the nuclear field, so we tend to collect things that are radioactive. And I have been wanting to do a video on some of the radioactive like housewares and cosmetics in history. But I'd love to hear from you guys if that's something that you are interested in, if you would like to learn more about. I'm fascinated by it. My husband's obviously fascinated by it. So let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd like to see. Okay, so my final item is something that I was so incredibly excited to find. I found this at the Timonium flea market, and I want to know if you know what this is. This is a Victorian curling iron heater. So aside from this absolutely adorable little turtle holding everything up, this is an amazing piece. So what you would do is right on this end, you would attach this to a gas line, and then you would light it right in here, and this nozzle would adjust how much flames were coming out, basically, how much gas was coming out. And so it would raise or lower the flames. Then you would put your metal curling iron, or in this case, I have a Marcel waver, and you would just set that right on top. And that's how you would heat up your curling iron or your Marcel waver. And then of course, you would use that to crimp or curl your hair. I was so excited to find this at a flea market, and it was only $15. Well guys, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed sharing all of this with you. Again, this is just a first round. I will definitely be doing more of these videos. So if you enjoyed this, please make sure that you like and subscribe. And also join me over on Patreon. We have a lot of fun over there. Thank you for watching. I will see you again soon. Bye.